Take 3. Hope you're all doing well. Hope your trucks are running good. I had a pretty good, efficient week. This is the kind of week you always want. Ran into some troubles, but everything turned out better than I could have planned. Happens from time to time, not all the time, but so the week started out. I started this week on a Friday. I went to pick up a preloaded trailer, and right away got some stress there. The trailer was at a construction site, and there was only supposed to be one trailer, and there was two, and nobody knew which trailer to take. They were both filled with the exact same thing. So went round and round there for a little while, but finally got the trailer, got it going. Very, very light load. The whole load probably didn't weigh 2,000 pounds, just regular insulation in it. Took that up to Indiana. It was a good paying load. I can't remember now what it paid per mile, but it was a pretty good rate. Got up to Indiana, and that's where things got fun. I checked the weather before I went up there. It was supposed to be cold, but nice, clear. When I got there, rolled into town, I parked about 10 miles away from where I was going to be delivering. I parked at a Love's, and the roads were iced over, snow. The night before it had become a snowstorm, and they hadn't had time to clear it up yet. So there was some slow going right through there. If you saw my last video, you saw that how things look there. Got that unloaded, went about an hour north and picked up a Coyote load using a loadout trailer. This load, there's some confusion on it. When I booked it, I thought it was going to be paying around $6 a mile. It had 3 stops on it, and apparently either I got mixed up or it was explained to me wrong. Either way, it ended up paying, I think it was a little under $5 a mile, so it's still a really good load. But there was a couple of catches on it. It had 3 stops, and then 2 of those stops were driver assist. I don't like booking these loads with stops. I don't mind the driver assist as long as I know ahead of time, so I could put that in whatever I negotiate. But the stops, those are tricky. Anybody that does loads with lots of stops knows that any one stop, anything could go wrong on that first couple of stops, and it could hold you up for a whole day, and all of a sudden that real good rate per mile doesn't look so good. But it worked out really well and got everything done, and I could have done it all in 2 days, basically 2 days had it done, but it rolled over into the next morning. Had an appointment that they would not change, so really came off very efficiently. I helped unload about 100 water heaters, and got to the last stop, and I volunteered to help them also, but they didn't. They said they didn't want the help. They got unloaded, really quick. All 3 stops I probably spent a total under 2 hours unloading these things, that's really unheard of on something like that. But unloading at these mom and pop places. But that went really well. Got it unloaded. Ran over to get my next load, which is a load that there's another using that loadout trailer. Boy, I negotiated my butt off on this one. This is one of those that it wasn't a very efficient load, but it paid well, and I'll explain that a little bit. It was a load that I picked. It had appointment times on it. I don't like appointment times because usually they built in a lot of wasted time in those. So this one was no different. I picked up an appointment at 1 o'clock on Wednesday, and I couldn't deliver it until 1:30 on Thursday. So basically 24 hours there, and it was only going 340 miles. But I picked it up specifically so I could get straight back to Texas and drop that loadout trailer without having to deadhead much at all. So that's why I did it. Otherwise, I could have, it was paying $1,740 to go 340 miles. So a really good rate. and on top of that, it was Rubbermaid products, so it was a very light load. And I could have, and I did, I tried to search for loads. When you're doing this, you can either wait and go for that one really good paying load if you've got time to wait and want to do that, or you can try to put a couple together, to get you back to the same general area. And I looked a little bit. I just didn't want to mess with it. I need to get the trailer back. I wanted to get home, and so I elected to take that one not very efficient load as far as the appointments go. But it turned out to work out really well. I got loaded pretty quick. I got to the receiver, and things got very stressful. Like I said, I had a loadout trailer. It was a Swift loadout trailer. So I show up at the a Lowe's distribution center in Texas. I get to the gate, and I said, I'm here, I got an appointment to unload. And she's about to hand me a piece of paper with my dock door on it to get unloaded. And she looks out, she goes, "Oh, that's a Swift trailer. You're going to do a drop and hook." And I said, "No, ma'am, I'm supposed to do a live unload. I would love to do a drop and hook, but this specific trailer has to go to a specific place." And she was one of these that knew everything about everything, and there was only one way to do things. And she immediately got upset. "No, we don't do that here." "What do you mean you don't do that here?" I didn't want to cause any conflict. You just have to kind of bite your tongue, swallow your pride. So I tried to explain to her, and there was another driver standing beside me, and he was trying so hard not to laugh. He understood what was going on. She did not. And I said, "Ma'am, I can't do a drop and hook unless Swift goes ahead and somehow authorizes it." And I've tried this several times where I had a loadout trailer from Swift, and they wouldn't let me do a drop and hook at a place where they had empty trailers. She wasn't going for it at all. She got really smart with me. "Well, I'll just call my supervisor. You'll have to talk to him." I said, "Oh, okay, whatever it takes." She calls and gets him on the phone. He's basically on the same page. I can hear him just discussing it, having a grand old time. As she hangs up with him, she goes, "Okay, you want to do a live unload? I'll give you a door, but you'll be sitting there for over 4 hours because we don't do live unloads for Swift." I was like, "Well," she goes, "I tell you what, I'm going to give you this empty trailer and a spot to put your trailer in, and you go on back there and you call Swift." At that point, you could be a smart aleck, and I would have probably been there for hours and hours and hours, or gotten kicked out. So, swallow the pride. I got in the truck. I went back there and parked. Called Swift. Got the first person I got just was a young guy. He wasn't sure how to do his job. He basically said, "Oh, we've got to keep these things separate. We can't do that." Hung up with him, and this is what I found more often than not. A lot of times your success depends on who you're talking to. So I hung up with him, and I called back, get a different guy, and I explained the situation. I said, "Hey, they're PO'd because they say," this is what they told me, they had a contract with Swift Knight saying they do not do live unloads because they have empty trailers there for them, which makes total sense to me. But Swift doesn't like to do that. They don't like to go in and type in a new trailer number. That is too much work. They want you to take that specific trailer to a specific place. But this guy understood. I told him, "Hey, they're getting PO'd, and I don't want to mess with them anymore." He goes, "Okay, I'll take care of it. I'll switch the trailer numbers." And that was that. So instead of doing a live load, which might have taken me a live unload, which might have taken me a couple of hours, and then after that having to take the trailer to that specific place to take it back, I did a trailer swap. I was in and out, and even with all that stress there, I was in and out pretty quick. Another thing, I got to the gate with an empty trailer, and the lady comes, "Oh, I need you to open the door so I can check, see if it's empty." So I open the door. She goes, "Okay, have a good day." And as I'm walking back to get in my truck, another lady comes around and she goes, "Okay, they told me to stop you, that you got to go do a live unload." And I was about to say, okay, or try to resolve the situation. I said, "Wait a minute, I've got an empty trailer. I don't know what you're talking about." And she goes, "Oh, you do?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Okay." And so she walks off. I jump in my truck and I leave. So I didn't wait around for that crap. And I got the trailer dropped, and I could have made it home that day, Thursday night, but I was really tired, and I stopped up and just to be safe, and got home Friday morning. But that was the week in a nutshell. Long story short, it was a good week. It was, excuse me, 3,055 total miles. So an average week. But I didn't try to get in a reset, nothing like that. I just took my time, this is what my hours that I used. If I had known how the week would have gone, I could have sped up and made it look even more efficient. But I really took my time when I left Texas I took 3 days to get up to Indiana, and I only did like 400 miles a day each day. So really took it easy. So 3 loads, 1 power only, 2 with a loadout trailer. And I used 59 total hours. That includes driving, that includes loading and unloading. So really got lucky on a lot of these loads, very lucky. For a total gross of $10,140. So another $10,000 week on the power only side. Fuel efficiency wasn't great. When you're getting up there in that northern climate during the wintertime, and you get fuel additives, fuel mileage just goes downhill. And then on the way back, I was doing pretty good click there to get back. So I did 7.1 miles per gallon. Oh, and that was also, I idled almost all night one night because of a battery issue. So I guess that's not too terribly bad. Fuel, when you get up further you go north, the more expensive it gets too, so that added to it. But paid about $1,400 for fuel total for the week, which was, that's a lot. I forgot to do all my math, but that comes out to be about 1,600. What is that? 984. So, about $8,000 gross for the week after all the, the little bills and everything, after fuel, factoring, all that stuff. So, but the thing that I like is what I've started doing is the hourly rate. Now, this is the gross hourly rate to the truck, $171 an hour for this week. And that, I started doing that because that lets me know how efficient the week was, because I could tell you I made $10,000 in a week. 2 weeks ago, if you saw that video, I made over $10,000 in that week, and I worked my butt off for that $10,000. That was a very inefficient week. But when I put it to you like this in the hourly figure, $171 an hour, that's an efficient week, especially for power only. So very good week. I got some really good rates. I had to negotiate hard for a couple of those rates. One of them I got lucky. I got the agent that I normally I use a lot. He approved a bid for me, so got very lucky on that one. The last one, we went back and forth about 8 times, and it came down to, we were $20 apart, and I just didn't want to lose, so I halved it again, and they finally said, okay, we'll do that, $17.40. So yeah, it turned out to be a pretty efficient week. But that's the that's the week in a nutshell. Sometimes you have those weeks where you do 4,000 miles, and sometimes you have them when you do 3,000 miles and you come out with the same amount of money. You never know how it's going to end up. You can plan all you want. You just never know.